Okay, so this is going to be a recording that's going on YouTube. So this recording is inspired by a reading that I had read from Erich Fromm's Man for Himself, which is sort of a book on ethics. It's essentially his existential work. It's an existentialist work written from his viewpoint on how man develops ethics. He sees man developing ethics under certain orientations based off of certain consciences, and it's a pretty interesting read. But when I read it, I had thought about a certain piece that was inside of the book, and the piece was essentially that there is a problem when it comes to developing a life where the ends justify the means. Now, what does the ends justify the means mean? It means that everything that you do is justified based on the outcome that you wish to achieve. Where when it comes down to means justified by the ends, it's your pursuits are what really matters versus your results, okay? Now, with ends justify the means, the reason why Erich Fromm says that it's sort of invalid when developing a life is because eventually your life becomes less of being an emphasis on ends and more of an emphasis on means. Now, let's give an example. We're going to give an example that Fromm used himself. So, in Man for Himself, the example Fromm uses is making money to get something. So, let's just say I wanted a car, okay? Now, in order to get that car, I need more money, right? Because if I could just get the car, then I wouldn't, have this problem. So my means is going to be making more money. Now, what Fromm pretty much talks about is eventually my life is going to become about making more money and less about me trying to get that car. So I'm going to be, trying to find a better job. I'm going to be, working more hours. I'm going to be talking to HR for a raise. I'm going to be doing all this stuff. And a lot of my life is going to be on means. I'm going to, essentially lose track of the ends. And not only this, but just to add my own 2 cents, when it comes down to living our lives based upon ends, we sort of miss the element of chance. We forget that chance and fates and probability and randomness play a key role in our lives as well. There might be a time where the store is closed, so I can't get those extra hours in. Or maybe they discontinue the car that I wanted. So the ends can be manipulated by factors that are out of your control. And all of this plays into ends justifying the means not being that great of a standard to live by, right? Also, when it comes to the ends justify the means, it's not necessarily it's too general, because within every means there's an end, and within our ends there are means. Like, for instance, with getting the car. Getting that car might be an end, but there's a means within getting that car. Let's just say I want that car so I can, drive around and get to wherever, places I need to get to at a faster pace. That's a means, but it's a means within that ends. Now, when it comes down to ends within means, like getting a new job would be an end within my means. It's an end of one point, being the job that I had currently worked at, and then it's a start of something else. So it's an end within the means. So there's not necessarily, when you really look at it, is there really ends and means? Is there really ends and means? Because within every beginning, there's an end, and within every end, there's a beginning. And I know that sounds like some jargon that, you hear from every person that tries to sound deep, but it's true. Within all of the things that we start, we understand that we are starting this because some point in our lives or some time in our lives has ended. It's concluded. It's over with. And within, the things that we conclude, we know that by concluding this, we have to start a new journey somewhere else. So there is truth to that, regardless of if it sounds like some spiritual jargon. It's truth. So what is an alternative to this? Well, I started thinking, and I was like, what if an alternative is, for me, essence and representation? Now, what do I mean by essence and representation? I mean that when it comes down to means and ends, everything, all of the things that we do to plan out, to establish a means, reveal something about our nature. And the things that we want, that being ends, reveal something about our nature. Even though ends and means change, dramatically, and sometimes they change in ways that are unplanned, even though this may be the case, our nature that is connected to those things doesn't really change. If you do something a particular way, you're probably going to do that, in the same way the next time. Or if you see or have an angle of seeing things, you're going to see it from that angle again, because that's just the type of person that you are. Now, with representation, right, that comes down to what I was saying with ends and means. While ends and means more so come together sometimes, and they come together to such a degree to where can you even really say if they're two completely different things? Even though that may be the case, what they tend to do, both of them tend to do, is represent a quality within a person, no matter, if they're two completely different things or the same thing, right? So, what a person wants can sort of, tell you a little bit about that person. Like, let's just say they want an expensive car. Okay, this person, likes, expensive cars. And when it comes down to the type of car they want, you might be able to ascertain, okay, they like that particular brand. This might be their favorite color. They're very well off on the economic scale, this, that, and the third. So you can tell a lot about a person based upon ends. You can tell a lot about a person based upon means as well, right? If a person uses means, a lot of times, if they, do crime as a means, you can sort of tell that, okay, they're not really too afraid of taking risks. If their means is using another person to get something, then you might be able to ascertain or tell that they're dependent. So our means and our ends are representations of our essence. So when I look at means and ends, in whichever way you wish to say the other justifies the other, they both represent something about us as people. Now, I think that this can be a more, I guess you could say, focused way of looking at this initial argument. Because, when we argue about do the ends justify the means or the means justify the ends, we don't really get to a really definite answer on what it means about the object that we're talking about. But if we speak solely and we speak more so directly about the essence of the object, we might be able to gain information on both means and ends. So that's just my little alternative to the ends and means argument that you see a lot of times within ethics. But anyways, that's it. This is Jalen signing out. Peace.